So we all know the Cowboys might be leaning offensive tackle in the first round of the 2024 NFL draft, but realistically, who could be there? Tonight, we take a look at what the data says. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. What is up, everyone, and welcome into ATC Sports Dallas Primetime. I am your host, Mauricio Rodriguez, streaming with you live every Sunday through Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central here on Dallas On Demand Sports Talk Network. With a lot more content coming your way, make sure that you check out atcsports.com/Dallas. And as always, do me a favor and hit the like button for me if you enjoy the show. Welcome, everyone. On a Thursday night, it is a great night to talk some Cowboys football. Free agency is in the horizon, so by the time Sunday comes around, we will be talking all about free agency. And I know it is difficult to get excited about it when you are a Cowboys fan, since they really don't used to, spend big money in March. The Cowboys have claimed that they're going all in ahead of this offseason. I don't think a lot of people are buying that. And not even the Cowboys seem to be buying into their own comments, because the last time that Stephen Jones had a mic in front of him, that Jerry Jones had a mic in front of him, they seemed to hedge their bets a little bit and clarify that, hey, when we said we were going all in, we meant with our guys, and we meant, taking a holistic view is the word that Stephen Jones said. So maybe it's not an all in the way. I'll rewind that a little bit. Not maybe. Likely, the Cowboys do not have the same definition for all in as we do. So brace yourselves for a little bit of a quieter free agency than maybe all of us expected back when Jerry Jones said that they were going all in back at the Senior Bowl. Let me say hi very quickly in the chat though. We've got Mark Aaron here. We've got Isidro. We've got Katharina who asked, "How you feeling, Mo?" I'm feeling better. I'm definitely still fighting through the flu a little bit, but I think by tomorrow I'll be ready to go 100%. Fortunately, because that medicine is doing its thing for sure. Getting better, but excuse me if today you are seeing me a little bit under the weather for another show. Shout out to Gregory, who is here as well. We've got Jason Chavez over on Facebook. We've got Holly, Isidro, Daniel. Who else do we have around here? We've got Enrique. Shout out to Enrique. We've got Travis also in the room. So welcome everyone into the show. One of the things that is going to be discussed a whole lot as we approach free agency, and this is just a parenthesis before we get into the meat of today's show, is Derrick Henry buying a home in Dallas. Now, for those of you who don't know, though, Derrick Henry already lives in Dallas during the offseason. That is where he trains. That is where he gets ready to go for each season with the Tennessee Titans. So he's been living in Dallas for a while now. And I don't think that means as much as people want to make it out, to be with Derrick Henry. However, I'll say this, and I wrote about this for ATC Sports. It's clear he likes it in Dallas. I mean, why wouldn't he, right? There's tax reasons to like it in Texas. There is also the big city benefits of living in Dallas, where, you've got a very well-connected airport. And I say this specifically because you guys know that I'm from Mexico. I'm from Chihuahua, Mexico. And flying to wherever you fly to in the United States, you're flying to Dallas first, right? So, hey, Derrick Henry hitting free agency. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be big spenders in March, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do try to take a swing at Henry. Like, even if they get outbid, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if they try to get at somebody like that, just because I think the market for running backs is going to be so disappointing. I wouldn't put my money on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make that run. And I say that the pressed market price is, because it's going to be Henry and Barkley and Pollard and Eckler and Josh Jacobs. They're all going to be hitting free agency at the same time. And it seems like already, based on the reports, every NFL team is expecting the market for running backs to be lower than expected, or cheaper than expected, if you will. And maybe the Cowboys have a unique edge, in that conversation. If they're interested in Henry, and Henry's buying multiple homes in Dallas, and Henry likes it in Dallas, and probably so, you know, he could try to extend that into the entire calendar year instead of just living there in the offseason. Maybe the Cowboys could have a competitive advantage in those negotiations. However, a lot has been made before about where a player lives or where he buys a house. There was Aaron Rodgers buying a home in Nashville about 2 years ago when everyone in Nashville went crazy about it, only to find out that that was not a thing, actually, that, Aaron Rodgers was going to go to Tennessee or something like that. It was never the case. Consider it the more expensive version of a player unfollowing its team on Instagram or unfollowing its teammates or removing them from the bio. This is the more expensive version of that, right? Like buying a house somewhere and have everyone speculate on it and where you're headed for free agency. Just wanted to get that out there because I know it's been a talking point during Thursday. So, hey, there you go. A little bit of an extra topic on primetime tonight. But let's see. There's some people that do like Derrick Henry, though. There's some people that do like Derrick Henry. I think somebody had commented that, hey, Holly says, I would love to have him, but he's going to be costly. Shout out to Mike also joining the chat right now. Shout out to you, sir. Mark Aaron wants Josh Jacobs, though. Gregory says, Mo, I was looking at a mock draft, and it has Jackson Powers Johnson going to the Steelers at a pick 20. How about Russell Wilson? Parentheses. Sorry about that. But hey, Russell Wilson potentially going with the Steelers. There was a report. By the way, shout out to Rob Gregson, who was on it first. And Rob Gregson covers the Steelers for who else? A2C Sports. And he had that report before people started, talking about it in other media, in other mediums. Today, we had it since yesterday, thanks to Rob G. Russell Wilson interested in playing for the Steelers, but the Steelers might not be as interested as he is, which is just insane to think about. But hey, it's been a long time since Russell Wilson was at the top of this league. Sorry, Gregory. I'll continue with your comment now. And Amarius Beams to Miami at pick 21, and Dallas taking Troy Fautanu at 24. Man, I couldn't have asked for a better segue into the main topic today, because when we talk about, is he going to be there? Is he not going to be there? It's really guesswork at this stage of the offseason. It's not only, it's only until near April and, maybe midway through April when mock drafts start really taking some more serious shape. And especially for those guys that are really in the know about what teams might be thinking of. Like, you think of Dane Brugler, you think of Daniel Jeremiah and Todd McShay and Mel Kiper and all of those guys that are, experts in building these mock drafts. And even they do not get 100% accuracy rate when they're trying to predict the first round of the NFL draft. But all of them, even the top guys, always break it down as follows. One, I'm basing the big board of prospects, like my top prospects, based on my own evaluations. But my mock drafts are all about what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, right? That's what they always say. And that is because if you're going into player evaluation, it's very different across the entire league, because some teams are going to look at a player differently than others, because some teams are going to have a player evaluation chart that looks different to others. There are teams that are going to put much more emphasis on athleticism, on weight, on height than others. And then there are some teams that are also, when it comes to putting a value like a first round pick and all that in a player, more specific schematic things might matter more for a team than another. And I think this especially goes for like win now teams. If everything else is equal between two prospects, but one better fits my scheme, then I'm going with the guy that is going to fit my scheme better. So I think sometimes we fall under this notion that, hey, the coach needs to adapt to his players instead of the other way around. And although that is fair, it is only fair to a degree. Because if you are a first round pick late in the NFL draft, late first rounder, the team is not going to change the entire scheme just because of you, because they already have some pieces in place, right? So that also kind of matters in this kind of situation. But all I'm trying to say is it is very difficult at this stage of the offseason to really be sure of this player is not going to make it to 24. Or this player is definitely going to be there at 24. We don't know yet. Reporters are going to work hard at that, or draft analysts are going to work hard at that as we get closer to the NFL draft. But if you look at the big data, right, and you take a look at hundreds of mock drafts or dozens of mock drafts, you might get a better idea because you've got people from every beat in every team covering the sport. You've got people chiming in on their thoughts as to how each player is perceived. And Travis May from A to Z Sports, who does a lot of great data science type content for us, and on his Twitter account, you should follow him, by the way. He put together a big board of players based on their average mock draft position, adjusted for volume, just really in-depth analytical statistical work. And he came up with this board of players, and we're going to look at the top 40 today to really find out who could realistically be there in the first round and who could not. And I'm going to toss this up on the screen right now. This is the top 20. And as you can see, there's not a lot of players there that are realistically or have been realistically tied to Dallas, right? I'm not going to talk about Marvin Harrison or Ron Dunsick, because all of them we know are not going to be there by the time the Cowboys pick. So we're better off just skipping them entirely. But the first thing that I would point out of this list is the tackles. Because you look at number 12 on this board, and you've got Tyles Fuaga from Oregon State. He's ranking, and this is, by the way, mock drafts from the last 3 weeks. So these are updated after the combine. They are taking into account everything that happened in the All-Star games. So this is good analysis, in my opinion, right here. Fuaga is ranked quite high. And I'll say this, man. I've seen him drop a lot in some mock drafts, but it turns out that Fuaga seems to be a top 15 prospect when you look at the whole landscape of mock drafts. So I think that's by itself important. Terrion Arnold, also important. I don't think Cowboys Nation has gotten its hopes up regarding him, but he's a great cornerback, and I would love him in Dallas. That is different than Quinjon Mitchell, who you can see at 16th of this table. Quinjon Mitchell is likely going to be drafted in the top 20 out of Toledo, a very good cornerback that people seem to like for all the right reasons. But that's exactly what might keep him out of the Cowboys range at 24th. But you look at the other couple of tackles there, J.C. Latham from Alabama and Amarius Mims from Georgia. Amarius Mims in particular has been discussed a whole lot for the Cowboys, I think, among Cowboys fans. He's definitely going early in these mocks, way earlier than some other players that the Cowboys are basically being, linked to in this draft process. So Amarius Mims being at 17th was quite defining right there, in my opinion, from Travis, because I would have thought that, hey, the way that Mims is built and the way that he's player that tested well in the sense of size, right? Because you're talking about a 6'8" player. He's 340. So he's quite the prospect that you look at and you cannot seem to imagine, or I can't imagine, the Cowboys passing on somebody like Mims. We know the Cowboys like those measurables. He came in with 36-inch arms at the NFL scouting combine. Like, this is somebody that is built different. And the question mark for him seems to be his playing time. But I tell you, man, Amarius Mims is not going to be passed on by many teams in the NFL, especially those who need an offensive tackle. So even with the limited playing time in 2023 and all that, I could see the Cowboys being all in on Mims if he makes it there. But based on the data that we're looking at on the screen right now, he's unlikely to reach the 24th pick. The good news here, though, is that with him ranking 17th here and the Cowboys picking 24th, all it takes is a handful of teams tops for somebody to drop. Because if you are a tackle needy team at 17 or at 20th, you might just you might be the guy. You might be the team that is keeping the Cowboys from drafting one of these guys, right? So I could see some of these players falling farther than expected since it's a strong offensive tackle class, and it might just take one team to pass on somebody or to reach for somebody. It's going to be weird. It's going to be a weird draft class for tackles, but some of these guys might be there at 24th. However, just based on the data, not happening, right? Amari's memes, if we're going strictly by this table. And another guy that I would point out is Laiatu Latu from UCLA, the edge rusher who a lot in Cowboys Nation seem to like, according to the data, going top 20, which might be a little bit too rich for the Cowboys. And I don't see them trading up in the NFL draft because that's not how they operate. So again, based on this data, strictly not on the Cowboys range at 24th, but close though. Pretty close. Now let's look at the next table, which to me is the most interesting one, because these are guys that are much likelier to be there when the Cowboys are on the clock. Nate Wiggins at 21st is someone that I was surprised by. I love Nate Wiggins. I'm also biased because I'm a Clemson fan, but I gotta tell you, man, Nate Wiggins is somebody that I wouldn't be upset at all if the Cowboys go ahead and they get him. This dude that ran a 4.28.40 at the NFL scouting combine. He's light though. The weight is one of his biggest issues. He came in at 173 pounds, which might cause him to fall in the NFL draft. But man, I would love for the Cowboys to get Nate Wiggins. That being said, though, just based on the need, right? It might be a situation where if it's between Wiggins and an offensive tackle that the Cowboys like, they're going to take the tackle 10 times out of 10 because it's a bigger need, because they absolutely need an offensive tackle at this stage. Plus, they've got Trevon Diggs, they've got Daron Bland, and maybe, hopefully, Stephon Gilmore if they get him back in NFL free agency, which is going to be tough. Probably going to be tough. Anyway, some of the other guys, Jackson Powers Johnson being at 22 was certainly noteworthy for me because after the Senior Bowl, everyone pretty much seemed to agree like, hey, that guy is out of the Cowboys range. Out of the Cowboys range entirely. And maybe not. He might be closer to 24 than we think. Then you get Troy Fautanu at 24th, exactly at 24th. You know I love Fautanu. I have been talking about Fautanu from a while back. I think he's ready to go. I think he can play guard. I think he can play tackle. I think him measuring in at 34.5-inch arms pretty much answered the big question mark that he had. That's an arm length that I'm comfortable with playing at tackle. And he's got the footwork and the handwork to basically make up for the lack of ideal size. Because it's not that he's undersized. It's just not ideal size. And I'm fine with it. I'm fine with that being the case. Anyways, let's see here. We've got, who else do we have here? Man, why did I lose the table? Oh, there you go. Sorry about that. Tyler Guyton, and I think Fautanu and Guyton ranking back-to-back here has a lot to do with the fact that I feel like 90% of the mocks have these two dudes going to Dallas. Like, there's obviously some variety, but Fautanu and Guyton are consistently being mocked to Dallas, which is definitely something to note. Fautanu and Guyton I would be fine with. And then I underlined other players here. You can see Graham Barton from Duke, who a lot of people look at as a guard. You can see a lot of people, talking about Adonai Mitchell lately. People have compared him to CeeDee Lamb. We have talked about this on the show. Adonai Mitchell intrigues me just because I early in the process, Destin Adams, who covers the Colts for ADZ Sports and also covers a lot of draft content for us, hinted at the Cowboys liking Mitchell after the Senior Bowl. And I thought that was something that was worth noting. Like, did the Cowboys like him in a sense that, hey, if he's the best player on the board, would they take that wide receiver at 24th? Would be a surprise, but you never know. Adonai Mitchell has jumped Saberworthy in these rankings. So, hey, something to watch out for. Keon Coleman from Florida State. Like, if you want a wide receiver, you can get this. You can get one, in the first round of the NFL draft. And of course, a lot of people like Shop Robinson, as TC915 says here in the chat. Shop Robinson could be in that range for the Cowboys. And that's fun because early in the draft process, like I'm talking during the season type early, Chop Robinson was still making a lot of those, top 15s in all of these exercises. So that was something that didn't seem like it was a possibility early on, but now Shop Robinson seems to be there for Dallas. And I can tell you, man, if they like him or they like Laitu from UCLA and he makes it there, you just don't pass on edge rushers that easily. So I don't think the Cowboys having Micah or anything like that changes the possibilities of the Cowboys landing somebody like Chop Robinson. Sorry, I had to take a 5-second pause very quickly. But anyways, there were some good questions here in the chat that I wanted to get to. And I'll read you the mock draft from Travis May, who put together those tables, which I think was like a dream mock draft for the Cowboys. 3-rounder, by the way. But excellent scenarios for Dallas in those. Let's see. Somebody asked me who it was, man. Who was it? To see this is Chris Graham, talking about what we were mentioning about I at least I believe Adonai Mitchell. I might be wrong though. Let's see here. Who are they calling Orshata McKinley? Are they talking? Who are we nicknaming Orchata McKinley? Toxic Joey Bella. Because I know there's like some McKinleys there, but who is Orchata? Man, somebody's got to explain that one to me. All right, let's see. Dwayne Brown says we better fill our needs in free agency first and find a starter with the first 2 picks. The thing about that, Dwayne, and I fully agree with you, obviously, with the principle of it. But I think the way that you solved the left tackle need was by keeping, Kool-Aid. All right, that makes more sense. That makes a whole lot of sense now to me. Orchata McKinley is actually pretty awesome now. Now he's my favorite player. I was gonna say the way that you kept. I'm sorry, man. I'm just laughing at the Orchata McKinley thing. Where did you guys? Where did you guys take that from? Was it Joey Bella? Is that all you, or is this something that people are using out there when talking about Kool-Aid? All right, then I'll get serious. That was good though. That was pretty damn good. Dwayne, sorry, man. I'm just getting sidetracked by these sort of chat comments. Anyways, the way that you handled the left tackle need, the way that you could have handled the left tackle need in free agency was by keeping Tyron Smith. And I don't know if there's out there, I don't know if there's a solid option out there at left tackle that you can be comfortable with in free agency. I think the only alternative is just by accepting that Tyler Smith is your left tackle and having the flexibility to grab a guard at some point in this draft. That's why I've been so upset with the Tyron Smith decision right there. Katharina has a question up top, though. I'm trying to find it. There were some questions there early on the show that Gregory and Katharina wanted me to answer, but I'm trying to get to them. I'm trying to find them here in the chat, but I cannot seem to do it. I cannot seem to find those questions. Pablo McLovin, though, does ask Mauricio, do you think it's possible the Cowboys end up drafting 2 offensive linemen in this draft? Absolutely. Absolutely. It is obviously possible because there's good depth. And if you're the Cowboys, man, you're walking into that 2024 draft without knowing for sure who is your left tackle, by extension, who is your left guard. Because if you don't know for sure, that means you don't exactly know where Tyler Smith fits into the equation. We don't know if the Cowboys are signing Tyler Viadish yet. Because, man, free agency is on Wednesday, quote unquote, but it really gets started on Monday. Because on Monday, players can start negotiating with other teams. So either Viadish is signed before Monday, and what is it? Is it 4 p.m. as well? It's not 4 p.m. Is it? It's like something like that. But 4 p.m. is for Wednesday when the contracts actually expire. But tampering begins at 12, like at noon on March 11th. At noon, March 11th, players can start negotiating with other teams. So we don't know yet what's going to happen with that. So yeah, short answer, yes. Cowboys could absolutely go get all of that. Multiple offensive linemen in the NFL draft, for sure. Let's see here. Man, I try to find the questions. I'm sorry about that. Was not able to do it. And yes, Mark Aaron says, we all know the tampering period has already started. Exactly. That probably starts at the combine, right? This may be, says Lunatic, this may be the year the captain trade down rides again. Hey, Dane Brugler had the Cowboys trading down in his latest mock draft in The Athletic. He had the Bills trading up to get Donnie Mitchell. And then the Cowboys trade down to 28, and they get Tyler Guyton there. Let me see what they get, though, because just my early impression from that is like, if you want Guyton, I think you kind of secure him at 24th. But I'm not doubting Dane Brugler. Dane Brugler is a GOAT. Projected trade. Ooh, that's good compensation. I'm not going to lie. The Cowboys get a 3rd rounder in this trade from Dane Brugler. You know my take on, if you've been watching this show for over a year, you know my take on trade downs. And that is, they're overblown. Like everyone, every fan base, every NFL team discusses its team and how the better option is to get more draft picks and trading down. So it's very scenario specific for you to make it work. And I just don't get my hopes up on trade downs anymore. Of course, when it happens and you execute it right, it is awesome, right? Think of the Cowboys trading down in 2021 to get Micah Parsons, or the Cowboys trading down in 2013 to get Travis Frederick, right? Like those were great scenarios, but they just don't come around that often, I think. Lunatic, by the way, says, if the board don't fall your way, our way, do you think 73 maybe move to left tackle? Oh, yeah, for sure. Like that's, and not in a good way. Like what I mean with not in a good way is you don't seem to have a clear-cut plan on what you want number 73 to do. Who here believes the Cowboys have all of these planned out with Tyler Smith? Because I sure as hell don't. And there are several reasons why. It seems to me that Mike McCarthy not moving Tyler Smith to tackle during the season in 2023 was because the Cowboys decided, you know what? He's actually very good at guard. Let's leave him there and let's just enjoy having a dominant left guard. And then the Cowboys try to meet with Tyron Smith at the combine. And note that the Cowboys did not meet with Micah's agent, CD's agent, nor Dak's agent, but they did meet with Tyron Smith's agent. And I fully believe they walked in that room thinking that they were going to get a deal done. But Tyron Smith is obviously seeking more money because he earned more money in 2023 with the way that he played. So, unfortunately, yeah, I think Lunatic, that is a strong possibility. But sadly, I don't think it's because the Cowboys have it all planned out. And this was all part of the grand master Stephen Jones plan where, you know, they knew Tyron Smith was going to walk and they knew they were going to take Tyler Smith to left tackle and draft a guard. Yeah, like I don't see that. I don't see that. I see that being the plan B, though. Like if you don't get your tackle in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised if that is exactly the plan B. Either we get somebody in the second or third round, or we start TJ Bassett left guard. We'll see, though. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, before I get out of here, let me just talk to you about the quick 3-round mock draft that Travis May put together for the Cowboys on ADZ Sports, because I think it's a dream scenario for Dallas. You get, let me find it very quickly, you get Troy Fautanu at 24th overall. This guy is somebody who ranked 98th percentile in the athletic composite score from ADZ Sports, because Travis May built a athletic composite score for ATC Sports. So you're talking about a specimen, even if people are concerned about his size. Then the Cowboys get Cedric Van Pran at center from Georgia. So in this scenario, you get 2 new starters for your offensive line, and probably with the center from Georgia, you also get an upgrade from Tyler Viatic, because I would consider that an upgrade, honestly. And then at 87th, you get Jonathan Brooks, running back out of Texas, which is absolutely fantastic to me because, you need a starting running back at this point if you are the Cowboys. So if you can get me 2 offensive linemen that I can start pretty much right away, and you get me a running back, I'm going to be 10 out of 10. I'm going to grade that with an A+ if that comes down, if that comes to fruition in April. That's a great scenario for Dallas to be in. And even though this is only a mock draft and we can dive into thousands of mock drafts right now, I do think running back in the third is very doable just based on the way that the league seems to be looking at these guys. And I do think back-to-back linemen in the first and the second round is also a possibility if you get a tackle or you get somebody like Fautanu in the first. Troy Fautanu was the first, Mark. Ray Davis, Kentucky. TC915, the Cowboys seem to like him too because he's one of the guys that they formally met with. So you might be onto something there. They met, I believe, with 5 running backs. Let me see if I've got that open here. Yeah, I should have it. They met with Trey Benson, Audric Estime from Notre Dame, Braylon Allen, and Ray Davis are the formal visits that the Cowboys had, according to Professor O's spreadsheet. Shout out to him, by the way. He made that spreadsheet, shared it on Twitter, and it's with Nick Harris's and Hutchinson's reports out of Indianapolis. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the show tonight. That will be it for me tonight. Last show with the flu, I hope. I think by Sunday, I'll be ready to go, guys. No flu, no 5-second pauses, none of that. We're going to be ready to go on Sunday, excuse me. See you on Sunday, 8 p.m. Central. Thank you so much. And hit the like button for me if you enjoyed the show. Bye-bye. Enjoy the weekend.